Hello everybody, it's Fiona Hooper back again with another edition of The Poetry of Painting, my weekly show about painting, poetry and anything else that takes our fancy to talk about with my guests on. So this week it's my great pleasure to welcome back the lovely and talented poet Martin Goldie. So bear with me, let me bring Martin on. Martin, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Fiona. Glad to be back on the show. Thank you.
Lovely to have you back. I love your poetry and can't wait to hear what you've got for us this time. It's inspired by one of my paintings, As Normal, and I'm sure your poem will be very different from mine. You've got very different style, which is something I love about all the poets that I've had on the show. Everybody's got their own style and it's so different, and it's so lovely to hear all the different types of poetry that come out. So this week we have both been inspired by my painting, which is called Sheep May Safely Graze, which I've just put on the screen so you can see it. It is on the wall behind me, but I say not easy to see on the wall there really. So please do feel free to make comments and ask us any questions that you'd like to while we're chatting and reading poems. Put comments and questions in the chat. Oh, hi, Rosie. Rosie says hi to both of us, Martin.
Hi,
Great
Rosie.
to have you on board, Rosie. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic for hearing Martin's poem in a few minutes. So yes, the painting, Sheep May Safely Graze, it's just the title that came to me as I was painting it. It's in oils, it's 10 by 12 inches. And like a couple of others that we've had on the show, it was painted on plein air outside in Norfolk. And goodness, that was at the end of 2019, pre-COVID, when COVID wasn't even on the horizon for most of us at that time. So really enjoyed painting it and really looking forward to your poem, Martin. Would you like to go ahead for us?
Absolutely, Fiona. Just bear with me. Sheep may safely graze. Timeless this pastoral I witness, without the heinous appurtenance which now belong and spoil many rural vistas. From that field's lush silence, smiling from within, I breathe into my soul the acres of shimmering verdure spread before me, embrace the landscape's shifting rhythms, feel it slowly wake from the nature's tempestuous fury, evidenced in dark remnants of that recent storm, scudding in that sky-blue sky, and from those rushing clouds, a final fall of steamy rain released from that departing tempest, spitting daggers on verdant meadows that edge a river's dark flowing waters, where large frogs shuffle in sopping grasses, relieved to miss the final fatal stab of a hungry wader's deadly beak. In that quiet wake, from hidden nests to cheerful sky, skylarks rise in sublime song, feel again the burning sun, dry cold dripping feathers, and from a sleepy rustic hamlet, snuggled cosy on a wooded rise, with a haunting melancholy, the feeble cry of a restive dog lingered long in lazy air, touched like a lone bugle's last post, fused in fragrant wood smoke, drifted loath down jade-hedged fields to a dapple green leafy oakwood, where blazing squirrels once more gather, finches flit and siskins sing, where airy butterflies float on gentle wind, and a woodpecker's hypnotic rattle echoes through that bowery forest, In that sun-drenched wood's mottled hollows, fragrant mentha and vivid purple foxglove entice awakened bees with a feast of delicious nectar. In that summer's sultry air, regal glistening exotics cloak carefree shimmering grasses, whispering softly in sensual dances to the fevered amatory attentions of summer's lush lonely blackbird. And in the temporary peace of that hot summer's slumberous lull, before succeeding storms prevail and quiet nature's exquisite choir, before the short black night casts shadow on quiet browning pastures, there, below pale purring skies, brimming with great puffy clouds that mirror bright frothing waves, treading heaven's vast blue ocean, a flock of gravid ewes, warmed by gentle breezes, graze safely on sweet meadow grass.
Wow.
That's it.
Beautiful as always. You've got so much in there, so much nature, and the woods, the oaks, and yeah, lovely, absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Just painting such a, we've got the painting there, but you've just added so much to it with your words. It's so beautiful. So I hope everybody enjoyed that that's watching. Rosie said, wow, indeed, lovely alliteration. Absolutely. And yeah, welcome to everyone who's watching and everybody who might watch on replay as well. Do leave some comments for us and questions, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. So, okay, so very different style now from my one, a bit shorter than yours as well, but it seemed to say what I wanted it to say. So
good.
Here we go. So it's sheep may safely graze. In this green and fertile land with pastures of lush grass, away from the noise and pollution of traffic and town, the sheep meander calmly, quietly cropping as they go, safe in their field, bounded by hedge and fence. No more the mighty wolf and bear prowling the land, and the sheep graze in relative peace and tranquility. But instincts still remain strong below the surface, easing the work of the shepherd and his dogs. As a stranger approaches, striding along the track, they raise their heads to gaze with bemused curiosity, then returning to the essential business of grazing, satisfied that the potential danger has passed. Their wild predators are long gone from this populous isle, but now they face new threats, rustlers, diminishing space, and a climate which veers between increasing extremes. Is this world truly a place where sheep may safely graze?
That's lovely. We both look at the sort of that sort of timeless view.
Yeah.
But it's in modern time, if you like.
Mm.
You know, it's missing the sort of paraphernalia of the sort of, you know, the pylons, etc. But it's detached from the past.
Mm.
It's quite interesting how you looked at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I see so many fields around here being, you know, turned into housing estates, and I know people need homes to live in, but it does depress me, and it worries me that so much of my land is being turned into streets and houses, and you know, we haven't got that much land in this country. We're not massive, you know, like somewhere like the States where they've got vast tracts of land, and it's just such a difficult one to really, you know, people need homes to live in, but we also need to preserve green space, not
Yeah,
only
that's right.
for
Yeah.
farming and to help support ourselves with food, you know, as a country, but also for people's mental well-being, I think,
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
right. Absolutely.
You know, to
Aye.
get out into the country, walk in forests and woods and over mountains, and, you know, even this was in Norfolk, you know, walk around the Broads and
Yeah.
pathways. It's just so good for you, and
Yeah,
it,
that's right.
you know, tensions and stress sort of disappear, and yeah, and so that I think was what was mainly on my mind,
Yeah.
thinking
Aye.
about this one. And oh, Rosie says, love the focus on the sheep. They've seen so many changes.
Yep.
Yeah, I just hope those particular sheep don't see too many more changes in their landscape, you know, because it's such a beautiful place as well, that to lose it, and you know, once it's gone, that's it. It is gone.
I know. Aye, that's the danger, that you can't decide, oh, we'll go back to the, once the green is gone, it's gone. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, so there we go, two really quite different poems about the same painting again, which is, it's great fun. So tell us what you've been up to, Martin. I know last time you were saying about doing some open mics.
Yeah, that's came to fruition with COVID starting to ease off. I stay quite rural, so it's not easy to get to places, but there is one in a place called Balloch, which is right at the south end of Loch Lomond, and they've got an open mic session once a month. So I've been twice now, and travelled down. The first time I travelled down with my wife and friends, and we sort of boosted the numbers quite a bit, which they quite enjoyed. But it was only me that read, and I read a couple of my poems, and I've also read the poem that I did the last time I was on the show, Light and Shade, and it went down quite well. And I've read out a couple of new poems, so they went very well. And I think doing this sort of show helps me to look at the descriptive in the poem as well as the narrative, and they seem to pick on the fact that I was able to describe the sort of nature and the sort of what the animals that are in the poems quite well. So it was quite nice that they picked up on that sort of aspect of my writing.
Excellent.
So I was delighted how it went, actually.
Good.
Yeah.
And is that something you're going to keep on with? And
yes, I'll go. I'll continue to go to Balloch. I might not go every month because it's just such a journey, and I'll look for others. There's one or two venues that are doing it still, or started to get back to it after COVID, and I'll try and do visit a couple of them, and if they're as welcoming as the Balloch group where they're great, and it's quite nice to read your poems to people in a sort of venue, as well as doing this. So it's quite nice.
I think when you're in somewhere like that, it's like art groups as well. They tend to be just full of lovely people because you're all there because you've got that common interest, and you're all eager to hear and see and, you know, be immersed in poetry or painting or, you know, whatever. And, you know, that from the demonstrations that I've done and workshops and things, you know, sometimes you walk in and you think, you know, there's 50 or 60 people there.
It's daunting.
And they're all very serious, but you know, they quite rightly, if you've never been before, they are waiting for you to prove yourself to them. And entertain as well. You know, it's not just about teaching and education, but it's about entertaining as well. I think they need to enjoy it, because then
that's right.
They'll be more attentive, and speaking from from my point of view, I would enjoy it more and be more attentive and remember more than if it's all just a bit too serious and deadpan. So, but you know, once you get going and people start to relax and ask questions, and you know, I've never met an art group yet that haven't been absolutely gorgeous and
Yeah, that's right.
lovely people. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's the same with all the poetry groups as well.
Yeah, I'm sure if they're all like the Ballad group, they're very friendly, and
Yeah.
it's a bit like your show. This you're getting a variety of different styles of poet, and it's quite interesting to listen to the different sort of ways that they get their words out, and
Yes.
without stealing, you can get wee ideas of maybe try to sort of copy style, you know, which would be quite good.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it's the same with poetry as painting, I guess, that you'll see something and it just inspires you, and you don't want to copy that person's work, but you think,
No,
oh, I could use that idea
that's right.
in mine, and then you make it your own, and you put all the different bits together, and it becomes your own style and your own way. Or you know, even as you say, with experimenting, I'll try a different style for this one.
Yeah,
So, you know,
aye,
and I think even if you go back to like normal style, whatever that might be, you'll still have learned something,
yeah,
and in a way being a bit sort of refreshed to go back to
yeah,
that if you've done something different, you know. A bit like in painting, certainly if you try a new medium, you know, so if I was to try encaustic wax painting, for example, which I've never done, and it does look absolutely fascinating and amazing, and a friend Julie Rothall does it, and another friend in the States, John Metz, and you know, the results they get are just absolutely stunning, you know. So I'd love to have a go.
yeah,
May not be very good at it, but it looks like it would be fun to have a go. But I do love my oil paint, so I'm not sure I change to using that medium all the time, but it'd just be fun to try it. And there may be
that's right.
things, although it's a completely different way of working using molten beeswax, there may still be things that I could incorporate from that
Yeah, that's
into
right.
my oil paintings.
Yeah,
I don't know, not having done it, and I guess in poetry it might be a bit the same, that you think, oh, well, that really worked the way they did that particular passage or something, and maybe you could, you know, incorporate that with different words, but that same
aye, that style, I suppose. Yeah,
a rhythm or something,
yeah,
or
aye,
you know, something like that. So yeah, and if I think, you know, if we stop learning from each other, then it's a bit of a shame, really, isn't it?
aye, that's right, absolutely. So aye, but aye, we different styles you can pick up that are going to enhance yours is great, I would think.
Yeah, because I was amazed. I think I've said it before. Oh, Rosie says I should try it, that she loved it when she did it with Julie. Oh, I didn't know you'd done that. Oh, brilliant, Rosie. You'll have to tell me all about that when we speak. But I don't think what I was going to say now. I got sidetracked. But yeah, I mean, that's right. When I first started looking at doing this Poetry of Painting show, I found out there were sort of well over 50, and there may be a lot more, but what I found was well over 50 different types of poetry.
Yeah, I know.
There must be more, because they didn't have the old humble limerick on there either, which is another style of poetry. It may be, you know, may not be highbrow, but you know, just so many different styles.
Yeah,
Wow,
that's right. I
you
know.
know, yeah.
I'm a
But
one-trick pony so far. I'll need to try different styles.
yeah, yeah. So you said before about entering competitions as well. Do you know, do they have, would you get to know what the judges look for in those? I suppose once you've been in poetry world for a while, maybe, and would they look for a certain style, or
I think it's so subjective that it'll depend on what the judge likes and what type of poetry they like, and maybe what the audience for that it's going to be going out to will have an impact. But plus, I think there's so many that submit that'll all be good poets that have been writing for years, and you've just got to accept that you're not always, even if the poem's a good poem, it's maybe not going to fit the ear of the judges or the judge, or be what they're looking for their publication. But I have had a couple of wee bits of success, but I think you've just got to not get disappointed where you get the thanks for entering, but on this occasion you've not been successful. And I think even established writers and poets probably have and still get that sort of news when they've submitted something. So, but I still quite like. I think it keeps you going with writing if you've got something to maybe a wee goal to put it into a competition or try and get it into a publication. And it's a bit like your show. You get a painting, and by looking at it and getting inspired by it, you turn a poem out that you end up quite pleased with, that wouldn't exist without that process. So so I think even if you don't get success with the competition, it's worth doing it, because it produces poetry, which is what you're wanting to do.
And do you get competitions that are sort of themed, for example, that it might be a nature poetry competition, or
you get there's one I was looking at, and the subject is choice, but they give you a broad spectrum, but the theme is choice. So quite often they'll have themes, even maybe autumn or whatever, and the idea is to try and go, maybe a bit left field, or sort of going at an angle that they're not expecting, but still sort of follows the theme that they're looking for.
There must be so many different ways of interpreting that theme.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think if you go straight down the middle, there'll be too many like that. So you've got to try and find something that's maybe unusual or sort of quirky.
Yes. But another comment, Martin, from John Sweeney, who says, "Thank you, that's interesting. I often feel and think poetically when painting. I mean by that not so much as a narrative per se, but manipulation of language, in my case, visual." I agree. And, the way that you think about your work when you are painting, there's a definite crossover there, I think, between the two genres, poetry, painting, and I think sometimes, one painting will inspire that more than another. Oh, Rosie says, bet they wouldn't be expecting a ukulele. I think that's for the competitions, Rosie. I think that's if I'm reading you right there. So could be interesting. Though,
it's certainly quirky.
Yeah. So, I wonder if you could do
why not?
An open mic with a ukulele. It'd be good fun. They wouldn't be expecting it, that's for sure. No. So, but thanks for watching, John, as well. Lovely to have you watching with us, and thank you for making a comment there. I hope you enjoyed Martin's poem, because I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And, you know, I just love everything that you bring into it, with the, you know, the blackbird, the woodpeckers, the siskins, the butterflies, squirrels, and so much, you know, and
they're all there.
yeah, just love it. And oh, Rosie's saying she's been thinking about that as well for the open mic, I think. So let us know how you get on, Rosie.
Aye, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think you'd be a great hit. I think you go down really, really well. But don't forget the box of tissues warning if it's the one about standing proud, because that's a real tearjerker at the end.
That's right.
Oh, get me every time with that one. Beautiful. So, and we've actually got Rosie coming back on the show very soon, folks, as well. So you'll be able to hear Rosie singing her poem in the form of a song, so about another of my paintings. So that'd be good. Oh, red squirrels in Scotland. Yeah,
pleasing squirrels.
yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I've not seen a red squirrel wild yet, which I'd love to do, but I think they're quite shy, aren't they?
We see them all the time here. We've got.
Oh.
The issue is if the grey squirrel comes in, we'll lose the red squirrel. So Cowell's one of the good areas for red squirrel, and it's a real worry that if grey squirrels get in, then they pretty much chime the bell for the end of the red. It's quite sad, but
somebody said that they don't live in the same environments, so I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If grey squirrel come in, the red squirrel would die out. It's you get grey in Scotland, but where there's grey, you'll not get red. But the red squirrel's a lovely creature.
It was quite some time ago now, and I'm sure it was on television, a program where they said that even if the red squirrels were moved away, the greys still wouldn't take over that area. But I don't know if that's
well, I'm no expert, but I know in Scotland that we have grey, but where grey have come in to an environment, they take over basically, and the red squirrel, but
that's a shame.
Sadly,
I don't want that happening.
No, we can't have that. So basically, what they do is they try and do sort of borders that won't give a chance for the grey squirrel to get across to the area. I don't know the details, but it's if you have red squirrels, it's very important that you don't have greys getting into that area. But they're lovely creatures.
Another comment from John: an area on a painting can be reflective or refer back to a historical essence, or using symbolism where you have more than one layer of language talking in the same work. It's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting too, John. Thank you. I should give that some thought, actually, because you say about the different layers and the symbolism all in one painting and saying different things. Yeah, in fact, that's a bit like Ros was interpreting Country Lane last week, the painting, again, with different layers of time in that case, you know, going back to the war and the land girls and, you know, the different periods in time that landscape had been through. So yeah, good point. Thank you. So, well, we're just about coming up to our time again, Martin. It has absolutely flown past again.
Yeah, it has indeed.
As it always does when I've got any of my guests on. It's lovely having you on and chatting. So it's been fantastic. Thank you so much again, Martin, and thank you for the honour of writing a poem about my painting again.
My pleasure.
And I hope that you will come back yet again on another show very soon for me.
Yeah, that'd be
brilliant.
I'd do that, no bother.
And, yeah, and I hope that you'll all be able to join me again with my guest next time, who is Rosie, who's going to be joining me, which is amazing, with a song. And it's actually going to be in 2 weeks' time, because next week I'll be actually busy doing a painting demonstration. So unfortunately, it's going to just be too tight to do the show as well next week. So there's a second one that I've missed. The other one was at the beginning of June. So I think 1 week off will be okay. We'll survive till then. So the next show will be on Wednesday, the 20th at 7 o'clock UK time, live here on Facebook again. So stay safe. Have a good week, everybody. Thanks so much for listening in. And please make comments, ask questions. Oh, Sammy said she's just made it, but a bit too late. She'll watch on replay. Oh, thanks, Sammy. Thank you. Good to see you there. So it just remains to say goodbye from me and goodbye from Martin.
Goodbye, thank you. Thanks again.
Lovely. Thanks, everybody. Take care now. Bye. Bye.